What is up, guys? Greedy Knight here with a topic that isn't exactly talked about in-game. Even though most veteran players already know what this topic is and how it works, there isn't a convenient way to remember how weaknesses work. Short of memorizing the weaknesses of monsters or checking insert guide here. Thus, my journey through all of the data logs of Kiriniko and the Monster Hunter GU monster roster began, minus the deviants and species duplicates. This will likely be an extended series beyond just this video. Disclaimer: this is by no means an absolute representation of elemental weaknesses and their relationships to other elements. It depends on what monsters are currently in the game and whether Capcom changes elemental weakness or tweaks their values for specific monsters. For Monster Hunter GU, this should be an accurate depiction for the sake of this video. At some point I might tackle Monster Hunter 4U and World and previous installments as well as Rise to compare whether these trends are accurate, but until then, use this only as a guide for Monster Hunter GU and no other game. To define a weakness, I arbitrarily defined an elemental weakness as having 20 motion value or higher on any body part of a given monster, taking the highest into my calculations. In the case of Great Macaw, its weaknesses are as follows: 30 motion value for fire, 20 for water, 10 for thunder, 20 for ice, and 5 for dragon. Great Macaw is weak to fire, water, and ice based on our definitions. In order to find the relationship between elemental weaknesses and the monsters with element, I have to sort them based on what elements they have. For this analysis, if a monster inflicts a specific elemental blight, and only that blight, that monster will represent that element. For example, Rathalos inflicts Fire Blight, so he will be put in the Fire Attribute category. In the case of Great Macaw, it does not inflict any blight, so it will be in the non-elemental category. I will repeat this for every monster that isn't a deviant and see if I can notice a pattern. The data will be in the link below for your reference. Note, it would be even more accurate to take the average motion value for each elemental weakness and then average every monster, instead of what I did. But I'm kind of lazy to do all of that. Also, I only thought of that method halfway through my data collection, and there was no way I was going to redo all of the data I did collect. In the next video, however, I will use the aforementioned strategy and note the accuracy of my data and conclusions. I chose to collect the values of the highest elemental weakness motion values because in practice those are the spots hunters will aim for when using elemental weapons, but that causes a level of inaccuracy by recording the data in that fashion. Below is a result of my data collection. The ranges are as follows: 20 is a hard weakness, 10 to 20 is a soft weakness, 5 to 10 is a resistance, and 0 to 5 is an immunity. I'll show the numbers here for each elemental weakness here, but pause here if you want a solid look at them. These are the values for X elemental monster getting hit by Y elements. Based on the data and averages, this is the weakness chart I drew up. The key is as follows. For lines, green indicates a strong weakness, yellow indicates a minor weakness, red indicates a resistance, and gray indicates immunity. For circles, red is for fire, dark blue is for water, yellow is for thunder, light blue is for ice, purple is for dragon, and gray is for non-element. If there is a tick in the middle between two lines, both elements are mutually weak or resistant to each other, depending on whatever the color is. The other ticks near the elements indicate the direction of weakness. That is as best of an explanation I can give for this shoddy drawing. I'm not the best digital artist. This image is the overall chart, but I've taken the time to break down the chart in pieces so it's easier to understand. Based on this image alone, resistances aren't straightforward. Conceptually, I couldn't apply Pokemon logic to the chart. Water and fire being mutually weak to each other doesn't make sense to me. Other pairs follow this trend. Pause here if you want to try and decipher my chicken scratch, otherwise continue with the video to learn the resistances. Fire monsters have a strong weakness to water and dragon, a minor weakness for ice and thunder, and it is resistant to itself. Water monsters have a strong weakness to fire and thunder, a minor weakness for ice, and it is resistant to itself and dragon. Thunder monsters have a minor weakness to fire and ice, a resistance to water and dragon, and an immunity to itself. Ice monsters have a strong weakness to fire and thunder, a minor weakness to dragon, a resistance to water, and an immunity to itself. Dragon monsters have a strong weakness to itself and a minor weakness to the other elements. Non-elemental monsters have a strong weakness to fire, minor weakness to water, thunder, and ice, and a resistance to dragon. This video had a lot of information I had to sift through for Monster Hunter GU, but once that was done, I could just find my conclusions pretty quickly. If a monster is weak to two elements, trend-wise, it just meant monsters in those categories were resistant to one and weak to the other. A few outliers are in the various sets, so these definitely aren't rules to abide by, but loosely accurate guides to reference during your hunts. More generally, it would be accurate to tell you to observe what blight a monster spews as well as what environments you find them in. Trends I found are that forest dwellers held different weaknesses compared to mountain dwellers, even if they shared the same element. Environment is one factor I should take note in future videos regarding this topic. Expect the sequel to this series sooner rather than later, because I feel this topic should have a definitive answer. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I know the Minecraft video I posted the other day was a bit random, but I plan to make a video at some point comparing the mechanics of Monster Hunter and Minecraft for some time now. I felt I couldn't make the video until I at least mentioned my hobby of playing Minecraft whenever I wasn't playing Monster Hunter. Anyways, that's it for this video. Greedy Knight signing out. See you Thursday.